28 minutes on to 7 o'clock. This is where we say good morning to you, Grenada, Carriacou, Petite Martinique, the rest of the Eastern Caribbean, the rest of the world. For your information, it's not Monday, it's Tuesday. It is the 21st day of October. Hope you had a great weekend, an extended one at that, and that you're up and ready to face the challenges of the day. You're going to ride out the storm, trust me. You are going to ride out the storm. Yeah. It's a good day to have a good day in a good way. Good morning, Mary E. Banks, Mildred Smith, good morning. Yulan Alexander, good morning. Where is Yoland this morning? Yoland Swan, good morning. Monica Meros Williams, good morning to you and Daddy Godwin and Miss Joan. Hope you all are doing fine. A special good morning to the folks at the intensive care unit at the General Hospital. Good morning. Good morning, ladies. Yeah, Mildred Smith, good morning. I did have a restful weekend, doctor's orders, you know. Sylvina Charles, good morning. Jillian McIntyre, good morning. Let me see if my friend sent us our usual yeah, he did actually. Let's do this, you know. It's not Saturday, it's Tuesday. All right, and it says Tuesday blessing. May the Lord be with you and bless you. That's from Isaiah 41 and verse 10. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee, yea, I will help thee, yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. Amen, amen, and amen. All right, and he also has this. Heavenly Father, how great is your majesty throughout the earth. The sun rises and sets because of you. We woke up this morning because of you. We thank you, dear Lord, for your mercy and grace, which sustains us, and your holy presence, which maintains us. We get so caught up in our everyday lives, but Lord, we want to be caught up in you and your plans for us. Forgive us, Father, for our sins and keep us on the path of righteousness. May you give us a boldness to reach lost souls in our families, in our workplaces, and in our neighborhoods. May you continue to bless, heal, and protect us. We love you, Lord, and we look forward to spending eternity with you in the precious name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you, Rev. Thank you. Thank you. Joan Brathwaite Batson, good morning. Mary E. Banks. Hope you're doing fine. Hope you all are doing fine. And let's get into the word of the day. That word today is okay. Why did it restart? Ride out your storm. It's stormy at times, yeah, and well, of course, we're still in the hurricane season, but the storms of life are real, not just the, you know, the weather phenomenon, you know. Storms of life, they're real. You ask me, I can tell you, but whatever you are going through, I want to tell you that you're not alone.
Times you feel like you're swimming against the tides. So many problems, so few solutions. Someone may have let you down or been betrayed by a friend. But I say, those are the twists and turns in life. Whatever your problems, you're not alone. The one said life
It's tough.
easy, and it's no fairy tale. But in spite of all your worries, you're not alone.
And that word today is vivacious.
Some days there might be blue skies. skies.
No, we used that one on Friday. The word today is ubiquitous. Ubiquitous.
Problems.
Ubiquitous. Ubiquitous.
If you're hooked,
Again, ubiquitous. 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 And it means present everywhere at once. Wow. Present everywhere at once. Here's how we can use that word in a sentence. Smartphones have become ubiquitous in
It is important.
society. They're everywhere. We have conductors calling bus drivers and, on the same bus and asking, do you have change in front?
everybody.
Smartphones have become ubiquitous in modern society. Good morning, everyone. It's 22 minutes on to the 7 o'clock hour.
Highway, you'll miss a sign.
Of course, reminding you once again that it is indeed a good day to have a good day in a good way. Rita Williams, good morning. Ian Baker, good morning, bro. How are you doing?
Rise up.
Annie Marie, good morning to everyone. Amen. Amen to that too. You're not alone. Frances Buckmeyer, good morning. She says, blessed morning to all. The folks inside of Munich and Mama Ken, good morning, Petlin. Petlin, where's the firing girl? The doctor said I should use firing, okay? Good morning, Doc. How are you doing? Thanks for everything, man. Good morning to Peck and the guys, Toyo and everybody, Judge, Cruz, Eggies. Yeah, good morning, good morning, good morning. Fish, good morning.
Has been done.
Everest and Scott, Olive, good morning to you. Hope you all are doing fine. Destined to win, overcomer, good morning. The motivational tip of the day is up next. Nadisha, I'm not seeing or hearing about you. What's going on? Hope you're doing fine. Good morning to the Sandersons. Good morning, good morning, good morning, Louis and Miss Holmes and the entire posse out there in cafe. Embrace the power hour. Dedicate one focused hour to work on your goals without distractions. Quality time can lead to incredible progress. Set aside an hour for yourself where all you think about is your goals. You do some assessment as to what you did before, what you could have done better, and how you'll go forward. Spend some quality time with me, some me time. 1 hour is a good time span, yeah? It's 20 minutes on to 7 o'clock. It has been a long weekend. We had a lot of rain. I didn't get much of it. I want to reach out and say a very special good morning to all the medical practitioners, man, the miracle workers. With the limited resources, man, you're working miracles, trust me on that. And sometimes I think that you don't get the credits that you deserve, I tip my hat to you this morning.
Holy Spirit, take my soul.
Good morning to the police officers as well. Good morning. Good morning, Inspector McQueen and the family.
Holy
Sweet surprise. Best puncher criminal in the world, eh? Yeah. What's buzzing this morning? Well, this morning I can tell you that a tropical wave in the central Caribbean could become a storm. The Limlair farm in Carriacou nears its full reconstruction for livestock breeding. In the region, the Bahamas urges caution as U.S. targets Venezuela-bound go-fast boats. Yeah, don't go fast. Use your canoe, paddle. Don't speedboats. Nah, that attracts attention. Internationally, the U.S. Supreme Court to rule on gun law affecting habitual drug users. And in sports, Bangladesh looks to clinch the ODI series against West Indies today. They won the first one on Saturday. I don't know, man. Do we really really think Darren Sammy is the one to blame for West Indies' poor, dismal performance? I don't know. I think it's much more than the coach, man. Walland Aquat, good morning to you. Yeah, Rita, we had lots of rain and thunder over the weekend, but based on where I was locked away, that, it really didn't affect me. Somebody is celebrating a birthday tomorrow, but there's someone who is celebrating today. I'm going to talk about tomorrow when tomorrow comes, Right. Good morning, Erlin. How are you doing? All right. Happy birthday to Ken up in Rosehill. The birthday greetings coming from Jando. Yeah, I hope I had it right, yeah? Birthday greetings to, right, yep. Let's get this. Okay. I want to wish my mother, Ivani, also known as Nanny Edwards, happy birthday today in Rosehill. All right, coming from his son Emerson Roy and her grandchildren Jaylon Lewis and Cassie Buckmeyer and Mary Edwards, and also the son Brent and right, Kenson. Ken, good morning and happy birthday to you also. It's coming from Jando, right? Good, nice. Erlin, how you doing, girl? I hope you're doing fine. Hope you're enjoying the US of A, as always. Reminding you that it is always a good day to have a good day. Reminding you to live your life to the fullest.
Lord Jesus, our Savior.
Okay, so I'll get my foreign on month end. Okay. All right, Petlin needs a rest. Everybody needs a rest.
Praise his name.
Folks, the AM edition of News, Sports and the Weather comes up right after this. We've got an exciting morning this morning. This morning on The Conversation, I will be joined by King's Counsel Ruggles Ferguson as we look at the U.S. request. So we look forward to that. The AM edition of News, Sports and the Weather comes up right after this.
The Ministry of Agriculture is inviting all of Grenada to join in the national observance of World Food Day 2025, guided by the theme Hand in Hand for Better Food and a Better Future. Our national celebrations will run from October 13th, culminating with the grand exhibition at the Old Trafford Playing Field, Tantine, on Friday, October 17th, 2025. Let us all unite to make this year's event the very best, connecting householders, farmers, agricultural partners, schools, and community groups. International World Food Day observance, October 16th. National World Food Day celebrations, October 13th to the 17th. Be a part of Grenada's food security drive.
Grenadians, get ready to commemorate National Heroes Day on Sunday, October 19th at the former Riviera Hotel site next to Camahorn Park. Grand dance from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. The theme for this year's commemoration, honoring our legacy, inspiring our future. This National Heroes Day commemoration promises to be one to remember with a prayer and worship segment, the spoken word, and a powerful message from our special guest speaker. National Heroes Day Commemoration 2025 will also see the official sword turning on the grounds of the Riviera site, which will then be known as National Heroes and Heritage Park. Sunday, October 19th, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. National Heroes Day Commemoration, Monrouge, St. George. See you there.
This is the GBN Morning News for today, Tuesday, the 21st day of October 2025. Coming up in the news, a tropical wave in the Central Caribbean could become a storm. Limlea Farm in Carriacou nears full reconstruction for livestock breeding. In the region, the Bahamas urges caution as U.S. targets Venezuela-bound go-fast boats. Internationally, the U.S. Supreme Court to rule on gun law affecting habitual drug users. And in sports, Bangladesh looks to clinch ODI series against the West Indies today. We've got the details to this and more after these messages.
He was a voice from the pulpit, now away from the altar, but never away from purpose. Father Gerald Paul now takes the Legends stage with fire, conviction, and a calypso that's stirring the nation. The 19th annual Hubbard's Legends in Concert, Sunday, November 9th, 5 p.m., Grenada Trade Center. Father Gerard Paul sings Truth to Power.
In the face of all this violence, I will preach, I will preach.
Along with the best of Grenada, Black Prince, and the Pink Panther. Tickets $60 and are available at all Gittins Healthcare Pharmacies. Quick Stop at Otway Service Station, Springs Food Mart, Clear Vision Eye Center, Gittins Pharmacy, St. George's, St. David's Pharmacy, and GoToFed.com. Father Gerard Paul, along with the voices of legends and their stories that shaped generations. The 19th annual Hubbard's Legends in Concert. One stage, one night. Get your tickets now.
Cannot just pretend everything is fine as I run me mind.
If you're thinking about e-banking, debit cards, point-of-sale transactions, what would you say are the benefits our customers can derive from using these alternative online banking platforms?
Being an avid user of the online banking platform, I can attest that it's safe, simple, but not to mention convenient. No longer standing in line to do simple transactions like payments of utilities, purchases, or even transferring between your accounts. All of the above can be done at the convenience of your own time. Click.
Good morning, everyone. With the details, I am Gordon Joseph. The National Hurricane Center says a tropical wave in the Central Caribbean Sea is gradually becoming better organized and could develop into a tropical depression or storm in the next few days. Residents in Puerto Rico, Hispaniola, Jamaica, and Cuba should keep a close watch as heavy rain, flooding, strong winds, and rough seas are possible later this week. The system's formation chance over 7 days is high at 90%. In the Pacific, a disturbance off southern Mexico could also develop into a tropical depression later this week with a medium formation chance of 50%, and that's according to the Hurricane Center. Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell says Grenadians must run all leg of the journey as he led the National Heroes Day commemoration on Monday at the Riviera site in Grand Anse, postponed from Sunday due to inclement weather. A ceremonial sod-turning ceremony marked the future National Heroes and Heritage Park, which also will honor the nation's trailblazers and preserve Grenada's legacy. Mitchell emphasized learning from the past while confronting today's challenges. We have more in this.
We will continue to learn lessons from the past as we confront the realities of the present. We will continue to emphasize for cooperation, dialogue, partnership, reconciliation, and above all, the pursuit of peace must guide our relations with ourselves and with the rest of the world. So tonight, I call on all Grenadians to reach deep within ourselves for the spiritual anchor that has guided us through the twists and the turns of our history. And as we stand on these sacred grounds of what will become our National Heroes and Heritage Park, let us recommit to preserving our heritage and safeguarding our patrimony. On this day of solemn remembrance and commemoration,
he reminded citizens of the contributions of previous generations, including leaders from Maurice Bishop's era, saying their example inspires current and future generations to build a just, united, and prosperous Grenada.
Let us run with the patience that the race that is set before us. A race to build a just, united, and a prosperous Grenada. A race to empower every young girl and boy to break barriers, transcend boundaries, and imagine new possibilities. Sir Eric Matthew Geary and his generation ran their leg of the race. Our late Prime Minister Maurice Bishop and his generation ran their leg of the race. All of our Prime Ministers post the 1983 period and their generation have ran their leg of the race. It is our turn to run our leg of the journey.
Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell there. Grenada has joined fellow CARICOM member states in reaffirming the Caribbean as a zone of peace amid growing concern over increased security activity in the region. At their recent meeting, CARICOM leaders, including Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell, discussed the potential impact of the build-up on small island states. Except for Trinidad and Tobago, which reserved its position, leaders agreed that regional stability must be maintained through dialogue, diplomacy, and respect for sovereignty. They also recommitted to fighting narco-trafficking and the illegal arms trade, stressing that cooperation and adherence to international law remain essential. CARICOM says it stands ready to support any effort to promote peace and safeguard the people of the region. Restoration efforts are well underway at the Limley Farm in Carriacou, which is being rebuilt as a model animal breeding and livestock hub following heavy damage from Hurricane Beryl in July 2024. The initiative is set to revive Carriacou's livestock industry while providing farmers with sustainable breeding options and quality stock for generations to come. The farm lost 95% of its fencing and all its livestock, but supervisors say progress is encouraging. Lisa Walker, farm supervisor, says 45% of the fencing is now complete and 3 pens are being reconstructed. We have more in this.
One of the buildings is almost completed, you could say. We are happy for that because we are waiting on our animals from Grenada to come here where we could start back our breeding program, right? Limley is an area for breeding for livestock. We are well on the way. However, we still have a lot of work to be done. And right now we're in the process of getting some tick from the forestry in Bele. Carlos Charles is helping us out a lot with that to finish our fencing and our rebuilding in terms of paddocking and so the animals could have space to graze.
Walker adds the farm will eventually produce high-protein animal feed year-round, ensuring healthier livestock and boosting local farming productivity.
So we having 4 breeds in the 3 different set of animals. So we have 4 breeds of sheep, 4 breeds of goat, 4 breeds of pig. As we say here, is a breeding unit. So farmers would be able to come here to get an offspring. So if I'm a pig farmer, I will be able to come here to buy a bull. Whether it be boa, whether it be large white, whether it be Hampshire, Berkshire, to mix with mine at my farm. And then at your farm now, you know, farmers, whoever you sell for, you could sell for meat purposes, you could even sell the offspring for breeding as well, because we're getting purebreds here at the farm.
That concludes the local segment of news. Stay with us. The regional and international developments, along with the sports and the weather, they're straight ahead. Turning our attention now to the region, Bahamas National Security Minister Wayne Monroe is warning citizens to stay out of go-fast boats leaving Venezuela as the United States intensifies its military operations in the region. Monroe's statements come amid a reported U.S. buildup targeting alleged drug traffickers off the Venezuelan coast, strikes that have already claimed lives, including 2 Trinidadians. He told reporters the Bahamas has little power to restrict U.S. action in international waters, and citizens should avoid becoming collateral damage. Monroe added that anyone involved in illegal activities should face justice through the court. The UN Security Council has adopted a resolution extending and tightening sanctions on Haiti for another year. The move aims to curb gang violence by reinforcing the arms embargo and cutting off access to weapons and ammunition. Despite earlier measures, gang activity and violence have continued to rise, displacing hundreds of thousands. The UN has also authorized a new multinational force to help restore order to the country. Now, looking further afield, the U.S. Supreme Court will review whether a federal law banning habitual drug users from owning guns violates the Constitution. The Trump administration requested the review after a Texas court ruled in favor of a man charged under the law, saying it infringed on his gun rights. The government argues the restriction is needed to keep potentially dangerous individuals from possessing firearms. The same law was used to prosecute Hunter Biden in 2024, a conviction that later pardoned by his father, former President Joe Biden. The U.S. President Donald Trump and the Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese have signed an agreement on rare earth critical minerals. It includes $1 billion to be invested by the two countries in projects in the U.S. and Australia over the next 6 months, a framework text says. Albanese said the deal would take our relationship to the next level, while Trump said it had been negotiated over a 5-month period. We have more in this report.
This is a $8.5 billion pipeline that we have ready to go.
That's right. It's all ready to go.
Just getting started.
In about a year from now, we'll have so much critical mineral and rare earths that you won't know what to do with them. They'll be worth about $2.
And we can continue to take what is every opportunity to improve the relationship even further and make it even stronger. And today's agreement on critical minerals and rare earths is just taking it to the next level, seizing those opportunities which are before us to take our relationship to that next level.
And with that story, it concludes the regional and international developments. Stay with us, folks. The sporting highlights are straight ahead. Good morning, sporting fans. Cricket, lovely cricket. Well, sad for West Indies. Bangladesh will face the West Indies today, Tuesday, October 21st, in the second ODI of the 3-match series at the Sher Bangla National Stadium. The home side won the opening match on Saturday by 74 runs, thanks to a brilliant 6-wicket haul from Rashid Hussain, whose incisive bowling consistently troubled the West Indies batsmen. Riding that momentum, Bangladesh will aim to seal the series and lift the trophy, while the West Indies look to bounce back. With a fast outfield and batting-friendly conditions, late-game dew could give an advantage to the side chasing that target. And finally, in sports this morning, the United States will lead a joint bid with Mexico, Costa Rica, and Jamaica to host the 2031 FIFA Women's World Cup. The expanded 48-team tournament will be the biggest in the event's history. FIFA is expected to give final approval in 2026. CONCACAF President Victor Montagliani says the bid shows the region's strong commitment to women's football and will inspire future generations across North America and the Caribbean. That's all the sports we've got at this time. We'll have more sports in a lunchtime newscast and our primetime newscast later in the evening. Stay with us. The weather forecast is straight ahead.
This year, make colorful Christmas memories with Berger. Get 30% off select 1 and 5 gallon purchases. Each purchase over $300 gives you a chance to win one of 3 cash prizes every month. October $2,000, November $3,000, December $5,000. Drop your entries in the specially marked boxes in store and enter as many times as you like. Promotion ends December 20th. Berger Paints for lasting beauty and protection.
And folks, for the latest weather forecast, we join forecaster Vondi Cyrus at the Met Office of the MBIA. Good morning, Vondi.
Good morning to you and to your listeners. Here is weather for today, Tuesday, 21st October 2025. It is a partly cloudy morning at the MBIA. Winds are from the east-southeast at 12 miles per hour. Barometric pressure is 1012.6 millibars. That is below normal and rising. The present temperature is 28.6 degrees Celsius. Relative humidity is 77%. Yesterday's maximum temperature was 31.2 degrees Celsius. Last night's minimum temperature was 24.5 degrees Celsius. Over the past 24 hours, 9.8 millimeters was recorded here at the MBIA, which brings the total for the month so far to 82.5 millimeters. Now let's look at the public weather forecast valid for today and tonight for the state of Grenada. The weather is expected to be generally fair, becoming partly cloudy at times with brief light showers. Today's maximum temperature can be around 31.5 degrees Celsius. Winds east-northeasterly to east-southeasterly at 12 to 22 miles per hour. Seas moderate to rough with waves up to 8 feet in northeasterly swells. Tides are currently falling, will be low at 9:30 a.m. and high at 4 p.m. Sunset today 5:45, sunrise tomorrow 5:58. Just a recap of the public weather forecast valid for today and tonight. The weather is expected to be generally fair, becoming partly cloudy at times with brief light showers. From the Met Services, this is Vondi Cyrus. Have a great day.
Thank you very much, Vondi. Have yourself a great day likewise. Folks, the weather forecast came to you with the kind compliments of Rennick and Thompson Company Limited.
Make home yours every day with Courts. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, ooh, oh, oh. Get value for your money. Ooh, oh, oh. Courts have the best quality. Home is what you make it. Best prices and good credit. Oh, Courts have it all.
Courts has what you need to make home yours. You can get it all with easy payment plans using Courts Ready Finance. Courts, make home yours.
It's 6 minutes after 7 o'clock. To end the news, a recap of the headlines. Tropical wave in the Central Caribbean could become a storm. Limley Farm in Carriacou nears full restoration for livestock breeding. In the region, Bahamas urges caution as U.S. targets Venezuela-bound go-fast boats. Internationally, U.S. Supreme Court to rule on gun law affecting habitual drug users. And in sports, I encourage everyone to say a prayer today for West Indies, all right, as they come up against Bangladesh in the second ODI in the 3-match series. Bangladesh already leading 1-0. Say a prayer for Windies. That has been the morning edition of news for today, Tuesday, the 21st day of October 2025. On behalf of the entire news department, I am Gordon Joseph, thanking you for viewing and listening, wishing you a productive day, and extending that invitation to you to stick and stay with the network, because we are with you anywhere and everywhere. Stay with us. The traffic report comes up momentarily.
Are you looking for a reliable, affordable, and customer-friendly pharmacy? Look no further than Hills and Valley Pharmacy, the nation's leading healthcare products and services provider. We are committed to serving you at convenient locations. Find an extensive and affordable selection of prescription and over-the-counter drugs and medical supplies at Church Street, Hillsborough, Carriacou, Jubilee Street, Grenville, St. Andrew, near the bus terminal, and Halifax and Grenville Street, St. George. Our committed team is always available to offer valuable assistance for managing your health and wellness. Discover the additional benefits of our wholesale distribution on Halifax Street and our Medcare Center on Grenville Street, where we provide in-house physiotherapy, massage therapy, doctor consultations, and eye care services. Our commitment is to satisfy all your healthcare needs, including competitive prices, loyalty rewards, and special discounts for seniors. Contact us at 435-6904 and WhatsApp 535-4734. Choose Hills and Valley Pharmacy. Remember, your health is our business.
Grenada. Exciting news. Oasis Pet and Garden has expanded. In addition to our existing location, we're now open at our new location, Melville Street, St. George's. Now serving you at 2 locations for even more convenience.
At Oasis Pet and Garden, we bring you the best products at the best prices nationwide. Check out our garden department for the best quality Pro Mix potting soil, vegetable seeds, and seedling trays, cocoa peat, liquid fertilizer, granular fertilizers, and more. Our livestock and livestock products are the highest quality and the best prices in Grenada.
World Food Day 2025 is here, October 13th to the 17th, under the theme Hand in Hand for Better Food and a Better Future. Monday, October 13th, Forage School Competition. Tuesday, October 14th, Friendly Chef Contest in collaboration with the Grenada Food and Nutrition Council. Wednesday, October 15th, Eat Your Fruits and Veggie Day among schools, the private and public sector, including public engagements via social media platforms. International World Food Day celebrations. Thursday, October 16th, Minister's Address and panel discussion. And the curtains will come down with the grand exhibition on Friday, October 17th at the Old Trafford Plainfield Canteen. Make your plans and get on board. Hosted by the Ministry of Agriculture, Lands and Forestry.
Come on out, Grenada. Let's move to live. Sunday, October 26, 2025. Fitness walk beginning with warm-up at 2 p.m. at Progress Park, St. Andrew. Organize your churches, clubs, family, and community. Great prizes to be won. Call 442-7450 to order your t-shirts now. Features and attractions galore to keep you moving. Hosted by the Health and Youth Departments of the Grenada Conference of Seventh-day Adventists.
Claim your keys, open the door to more than you imagined before. New home, fresh start, make moves and play it smart. Expand, invest or renew. ACB's right there with you. With ACB Home Advantage Mortgages, you get up to 100% financing, reduced fees, and a $100,000 unsecured credit card. Claim your keys, open the door to more than you imagined before with ACB.
Terms and conditions apply.
Distributed by Echo Blue Limited. Visit us on the Lansopine Main Road or call 405-4818.
served Grenada for decades.
All right, folks, it's now 12 minutes after 7 o'clock. At this time, we join Corporal Troy Paul from the Traffic Department of the RGPF for this morning's traffic report. Good morning, Corporal Paul.
Good morning to you and also to your listeners. It is a pleasure to be in the land of the living, and I'm here so that we can guide personnel to the traffic update for this morning. This morning, we've received that most of the areas have a light to moderate traffic at this time, especially in most of our towns and all its adjoining roads. It is not heavy at the moment, so persons who are traveling along our roads now can do so freely. However, the roads are still a bit wet from the weather condition, which we've experienced over the weekend. We had some rain, and persons must be mindful of driving along such conditions. Especially when we have potholes and so on, and we may have the road work that has been going on with the FIT project, where the water may affect. It might be a little bit muddy, a little bit, roads may be a little bit uneven due to some of the removal of the debris along the roads. However, as it relates to movement of traffic, especially vehicles, you can safely go freely, but however, must be mindful of the conditions of the road as well. Persons, we know what to expect as it gets closer to the 8 o'clock hour. The accident rate for the past 24 hours, we had a total of 6 minor accidents. So remember, we had a long weekend. So just to backtrack a little bit on some of the accident stats over the weekend. So far, we had, for Sunday, we had a total of 7 minor accidents. Then we move on to Saturday. We had a total of 14 minor accidents. And moved down to Friday, we had 10 minor accidents. So we see really from Friday go up 10, then we move to 14, then we move to 7, and then we move to 6. So that was the accident state. So we had a number of accidents, but it's still reasonable. But we still, one too many accidents is too much on our nation's road, as it's cost in every aspect of our lives. Therefore, we just want to implore drivers to continue to drive safely along our nation's road. And remember, our decisions impact what happens on the road. Well, we know as we get closer to the 8 o'clock hour, persons know what to expect. Areas of St. Paul's, we already start seeing movement. It is not that heavy at the moment, but we already have movement in that area, which will definitely increase as we get closer. So persons coming from that direction using the St. Paul's Road, you know what to expect at this moment, but we ask that you use traffic diversions to get out of the area, such as the Montreal Public Road, and you can therefore use the Defu and Springs, head on to the Grenada, or you can the Calvary Road. We've seen some movement on the western side, not too heavy at the moment. Also, Grenada, but we know what to expect, and we had a long holiday, so we definitely expect some movement along this morning. We trust that persons drive prudently along our roads to get to their destination. At the moment, we don't have any accidents at this time, but we want to improve on persons. Road safety is everybody's business. So we want persons to get to your destination safely on time, but however, as we get closer to 8 o'clock hours, we know where our traffic build-up spots are, so we want persons to be mindful. And if you have not left home as yet, you will definitely be late, and you'll be joining the traffic rush, and you will most likely be late for work. But we want you to avoid that. Leave home on time, leave home in a manner that you wouldn't have to be speeding or driving in reckless manners to get to work. But we want to ask the question every morning that we continue to ask. If you're texting this morning, and think about it, then who is driving?
Yeah, if you're texting, who is driving? The gist of the story is you should not be texting and driving.
That's exactly.
Thank you very much, Corporal. Have yourself a wonderful day. And to you and your entire team, continue doing the great work. We know the season is approaching, and I know you all have your task on your hands as it relates to illicit vending on our sidewalks. I really want us to curb that as early as possible. I don't know how you all would do it. Maybe make some other place available for the vending to take place, but the sidewalks really should not be for vending. So I know you and your traffic department, and by extension the RGPF, you've got your task cut out for you.
Yes, we do. And we definitely do we will do what we have to ensure that our roads, our streets, and our sidewalks remain safe.
Thank you very much, Corporal. Have a great day now.
You're welcome.
Folks, that was the traffic report. We take a quick commercial break. When we come back, I've got folks from the Ministry of Health. Let me make sure. It's Ministry of Health. Yes, the Ministry of Health, and I also have King's Counsel Ruggles Ferguson as we delve into that request from the U.S. We're looking at it from a legal perspective. So don't you go anywhere. Stick and stay with us. We'll be back after these.
Looking to shop online from your favorite stores like Amazon and Shein? With GPC Global, it's never been easier. Get your very own US address and shop from around the world. With GPC Global, you can order the latest trends and must-have items, all delivered straight to Grenada to your closest post office for your pickup. We offer the cheapest rates, and our service is reliable and quick. No more waiting for weeks for your packages. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. Join the Grenada Postal family today and start shopping smarter. Visit us online at www.grenadapostal.com or call us on 437-POST. That's 437-7678. GPC Global, your gateway to the world.
If you're thinking about e-banking, debit cards, point-of-sale transactions, what would you say are the benefits our customers can derive from using these alternative online banking platforms?
Being an avid user of the online banking platform, I can attest that it's safe, simple, but not to mention convenient. No longer standing in line to do simple transactions like payments of utilities, purchases, or even transferring between your accounts. All of the above can be done at the convenience of your own time. Click, tap, done. Banking just got easier.
Residents of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, have you ever wondered how you can benefit from Grenada's Citizenship by Investment program? Join the Investment Migration Agency of Grenada for the next IMA Symposium series on October 22nd at 5:30 p.m. at the Mermaid Hotel Conference Room, Carriacou. This public forum will explore how local developers and those aspiring to become developers can access new earning opportunities through the CBI program. Hear from key experts representing the Investment Migration Agency, the CBI Committee, and the Grenada Investment Development Corporation as they discuss recent regulatory changes designed to expand local participation. This is your chance to gain insight, ask questions, and discover how you can be part of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique's development story. Don't miss it. Join the conversation on October 22nd at 5:30 p.m. at the Mermaid Hotel Conference Room.
For when you need someone to help you to your feet, I'll be that beacon to your highest peak. Oh, I'll be right next to you, no, I will never leave. Come on, take my hands, we got everything we need. Cause you can look to me, whenever you're in need. Just call on me and I'll be on
AXA Credit Union, with you wherever.
All right, welcome everyone. The first leg of the conversation, I can tell you it's going to be a busy conversation this morning. As you can see in the studio, I'm joined by two beautiful young ladies and good gentlemen, handsome gentlemen. That's okay. That's okay with you, Ali. Ali, good morning.
I'm the torn between the two roses.
Okay, so right next to me is Dr. Duncan, and as I said, Ali Dowden, and to his extreme right,
Seals, Miss Glenda Seals.
Miss Glenda Seals.
Yeah.
And, a lot of focus, as we said earlier, I said it last week and even before that, the month of October is a lot of different organizations are celebrating. We have Child Month, Month of the Elderly, and a lot of focus is placed on cancer as well, breast cancer, cancer awareness, and everything like that. So, Dr. Duncan. Yes, how are you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
Yeah, all is well?
Yes, all is well.
Okay, that's good to hear. All right, how serious a problem do we have in Grenada as it relates to breast cancer?
Well, currently in Grenada, breast cancer is the leading cancer in women, and it's also the leading cause of cancer-related deaths in women as well.
And that's Grenada?
Yes.
And if I'm not mistaken, that malady, if we want to refer to it as that, it's sort of generic around the region and even around the world. When you listen to what's happening in international news and so forth, breast cancer seems to be the leading cause of death with women.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so having said that, what can all ladies do to prevent themselves from dying from breast cancer?
Well, early detection, as the saying goes, early detection saves lives. So, the earlier that the disease is diagnosed, the better the outcome or the better the prognosis. So it's important that when that woman be breast aware, that means that they know what their breast should normally look and feel like, that they do their self-examinations, and also that they have screening done.
Okay.
So screening is when a person does a test, although they don't have any signs or symptoms of disease. So in the case of breast cancer, the test that is done is a mammogram.
Okay, and is there an age range that a young lady goes through puberty and so forth, and then you start seeing development and so forth, bodily development and so forth? Is there an age range at which you should start checking as a young lady?
So from the age of 25 to 39, it's recommended that women be aware, as I said, of how their breast normally looks and feels, that they do their checks. They should also get a clinical examination done, which is an examination by a physician every 1 to 3 years.
Okay. I made a joke. Jokingly, I made a comment to my colleague when he came in the studio and told him that he should get his, breast checked as well. Do men have this issue as well? Do we have cases of men having breast cancer?
It's very rare, but yes, men can get breast cancer as well. So 99% of the cases of breast cancer are women, but 0.5 to 1% are men.
Okay, so men, do not feel that you're exempted from that, okay? The gist of it is to get your checks done regularly as recommended by your physician. Okay, it's not just your prostate you have to check. Also do a general to make sure that your breast is okay. What really triggers? Is there any specific carcinogen or what that would trigger breast cancer? Any action, any dietary concerns and so forth?
Well, a number of different factors actually contribute to the process of breast cancer. Lifestyle is very important. Obesity is a risk factor. Smoking, drinking alcohol as well. Not having children or having children at an older age, that's another risk factor for breast cancer.
Yes. And for someone, don't feel too left out of the conversation.
That's fine.
You understand? Okay.
We're part of it.
Yes. What are some of the symptoms? Like, okay, someone who, let's say 26 and does not follow that recommended visit and say, okay, between 25 and 39 you should check, but they haven't done a check. What are some of the early signs to suggest to someone that, hey, this thing might be coming on me?
So signs and symptoms of breast cancer, they generally don't appear until the disease is more advanced, which is why screening is so important. But when the symptoms do appear, the most common ones is to notice a lump or a mass in the breast. So this lump, it could be hard, irregular, and it's generally non-tender or non-painful. But some breast cancers, they're also soft, round, and they're also painful as well. So you might notice some changes in the skin of the breast, such as thickening. It might take on an appearance similar to that of an orange peel. There might be discharge from the nipple. Usually it's one nipple, the nipple of the breast that's affected by the cancer. Also, the nipple might turn inwards. And other symptoms, you can notice lumps, enlarged lymph nodes, which would be under the armpits or at the collarbone region.
Does sucking on the breast by a baby or so, does that impact the possibility or reduces it or increases it,
Yes, breastfeeding has a protective effect against breast cancer.
Okay. So it's good to suck breast.
For babies.
For babies, yes. Yes. Ali?
It's just how you say it.
No, it's good to suck breast. It's good for the babies nutritionally and for the mother.
Totally agree.
Yes. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So let me just bring us into the conversation now. There is a walk coming up. Okay, cancer awareness walk, and the Pink Ribbon Society is very, very. Having said that, good morning to although it's not breast cancer, but I want to say a very special good morning to one of the strongest human beings I've ever met. He has survived, I think, 31 years of cancer. Arthur Hostin.
Yeah.
Arthur, you are strong.
Most definitely.
Yes, definitely. So, as it relates to the Pink Ribbon Society, what are some of the activities you all have?
Okay, basically we are organization, non-profit organization that we got together from a few back in the early 90s, a few of early survivors. They got together and formed the Pink Ribbon Society so we can become aware, we can support each other, we can be there for one another. It's an organization. We meet once a month, every second Wednesday, downstairs the Presbyterian Church, where we talk about our different issues, because each of us go through different stages. Each of us go through different feelings and everything. So,
are you a survivor?
Yes, I am, for 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
And from your grouping's perspective, how participatory you're finding Grenadian women? Do they come to meetings? Are they active?
That is the problem. It's the same faces, sometimes 3, 4, 5 of us. We send out a call out there. This is one of the reasons we want people to join us. You don't have to be a survivor you can be a supporter, because people like Ali, who's part of our organization, he is a supporter. So we have other, our treasurer, our secretary, they're supporters. Our president, she is also a survivor. So we try to get together and have keep each other's spirit up, talk to each other, because as I say, we all go through different stages, different feelings, and the support is very important for us to get together and do that.
As a survivor for 10 years, how do you feel?
I feel great. I'm alive. I feel great, and I try to spread the word, try to get other people, send it out there that, hey, it is not a death sentence.
Right. But was there ever a time in your journey that you felt like giving up and you felt like, oh, I have got this breast cancer and that's it for me? Was there ever a phase when you felt that way, or you, from the onset, you decided, I'm going to fight this?
I'm going to fight this because I was, it's three of us in my family, three sisters. Wow. My two older sisters also came down with breast cancer. One had since passed, and the other one, after 20 years, her breast cancer came back. But it's family support, is your environment, the people around you, everything. The support is very important. They keep you, So I don't really feel down or anything. I always feel upbeat.
How has it affected your dieting?
I eat everything but a little bit.
Right.
Really haven't really affected my dieting. It just, I try to stay within the limit of what I'm supposed to eat. I don't like fruits.
You don't like fruits?
No. Or fruits don't like me. Put it that way.
Okay.
Right. But I try to, maintain, a little bit of it. So the dieting is important. What you eat, your environment, Yes, I have a beer or two on a weekend when I go out, but, it's, hey, I'm alive, I'm living, so, I know Doc wouldn't recommend me with beer or two, but...
Everything in moderation.
Right, in moderation.
Yeah.
So.
Let me ask, your organization, right? Someone is hearing us this morning, and they're saying, okay, I need to join this.
Yeah.
What sort of support besides moral support? What other sort of support do you have, like specialists like Dr. Duncan? Is Duncan?
Yes.
Dr. Duncan coming to talk to them, and what sort of support?
Well, the oncology nurse Batiste, she is part of our organization. So anytime we need any additional support, and she is right there. She is she's always at meetings and stuff. And then we know when we go to the clinics, the nurses and the doctors and the oncology, they're amazing. They take the time, they listen, they encourage. So, and our organization also help with different financial aid, but we do it through the oncology. So you can't meet me and say, I have to do a mammogram and need some money. No, it's a recommendation from the oncology department, and these are people who go to clinic who is breast cancer patient, and they cannot afford, so that's where we come in. So that's why the walk is important. That's our basic financial, there's where we get most of our funds so we can help others.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to come back to Doc before I go to you, Ali. Having breast cancer, okay, does it undermine your immune system that makes you susceptible to other diseases?
Yes.
Or ailments?
Yes, it can, especially on persons that are on treatment with chemotherapy.
Okay.
Yes.
So wow. So it's really I wish I was listening to a young African guy, and he was, we were questioning him about God, if he believes in God and so forth. And he's saying, well, if God is real, why did he have all these problems? Wouldn't it be nice if there was a world without cancer?
Definitely.
Another question, from your experience, Doc, in a Grenada's perspective, what sort of age range you start seeing people coming on with this breast cancer? Is there?
It's generally after the age of 40, but we've been noticing younger cases coming in as well.
Does it have anything is it aligned with menopause or anything like that?
Well, it's related to the hormones. Because breast cancer, some of these types, there are different types of breast cancer, but some feed off of the hormone estrogen.
Okay. All right. This life, This life. Why should there be cancer?
Or any disease.
Or any disease,
Well, you had me thinking, and I want to answer that question because I feel like, it was left unanswered. I believe, yes, as a believer and a Christian, that yes, there will be a day that's coming whereby there'll be no cancer.
Right.
When Jesus returns. Okay. And those of us who believe and are faithful enter the promised land.
Yes.
There'll be no sickness there.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Nice. Okay, Pastor. All right.
Fingers crossed I answered that question.
All right. So tell me now, Ali, as it relates to that walk that's coming up, give us some specifics on it.
Okay. So every year, the Pink Ribbon Society would have an annual walk, and this walk, basically, some of the objectives is to spread awareness, to show support, and of course to honor the fighters, the survivors, and of course those who we have lost along the way. And this year's walk is Early Detection Saves Lives. That's the walk, and of course it's to raise awareness on breast cancer. It's going to be taking place this coming Sunday, the 26th. We actually gather at Camohan Park in Grandance, and then we journey on to the Tantine netball court. So it's pretty standard in terms of the route of the walk every year. That has not really changed. We want to, of course, encourage people to come out and support. We do have t-shirts on sale. Members of the society has been selling t-shirts for the past couple weeks. You can still get t-shirts down at the computer store in Grandance, and also from one of the members that's in the market, right? Just opposite Brighton and Miners. And of course, you can reach out to any member of the society, and then we can always arrange to get t-shirts to you. Even on the day, if once there's t-shirts remaining, you can purchase. It's $50. Of course, the walk not only serves as a means of awareness, but it also serves as a means of raising funds, right? The society not only just promotes education and early detection, but also assists patients where needed financially. Of course, as Auntie Glenda said once, it comes based on proper medical recommendation from the oncology unit. Something else that the public may not know is that every time you go to the oncology unit, well, when there's clinic days, and you're provided with a snack, right? That's actually sponsored by the Pink Ribbon Society, and that has been done annually for years. And it's not just for persons who just go for breast cancer, because there are other persons who visit the clinic, right, for other various types of cancer. So when they go, they would get that. So that comes at a cost, right? Because it has to be paid for. So once you support the walk, these are some of the ways that you support the cause. And we know that there are thousands of survivors out there. Well, let me not say thousands, but there's hundreds certainly. But definitely there's thousands of families out there that has been affected some way or the other. Either we lost a sister, a mother, an aunt, a friend. So we encourage everyone to come out and support the walk. Let's see you coming out there in your numbers. When you come out and you walk, you're not just walking as a survivor. For example, I'm not a survivor, but I'm walking, supporting someone. It could be an aunt, it could be a sister, it could be a friend. I mean, I do have friends who have passed, both in Grenada and out of Grenada, and also do have friends both in Grenada and out of Grenada that are survivors. So the whole idea is about showing support and assisting that community, right, in whatever way that we can, because of course the way that I see life is that today might be your turn, tomorrow might be mine, right? So we're encouraging everyone to come out this coming Sunday. The walk will take place from Camohan Park starting at 4 p.m. and we will head to the Tantine netball court. We are going to have, for example, there will be a truck with a the music system to at least sort of guide the walk, give us some sort of motivation as we walk. We're still finalizing in terms of the transport, but that should be finalized today, so I would still put it out there that in terms of we're trying to get a bus or two, so that way for persons who have vehicles and cannot necessarily walk down to the starting point, they can leave it in Tantine and get the bus that we normally would provide annually, and then it will take them to the starting point at Cameron Park, and then you walk back up. Okay. Right? So if there's anyone out there hearing us and they want to, throw in support, because we're still waiting for confirmation today.
We have someone who seems trying to get onto the program. Good morning, caller. We lost that call, unfortunately. Doc, someone is asking here, is there a link to breast cancer in women if the father has prostate cancer?
Well, generally the risk is greater if the family, there's a family history of breast cancer.
Okay. All right. Someone is trying to reach us. Good morning, caller. Welcome. Caller, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the program.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Innocent, and I want to commend you for a job being well done on the morning program.
Thank you.
Dealing with different topics, and I also want to say a special good morning to your guest and also those persons who have been diagnosed with breast cancer, living with it, those who have loved ones who passed. We want to extend our condolences, and we want to say to those who are living, be strong and take heart. Okay. But I have a very concern. I mean, it may not relate directly to breast cancer, but cancer in general. And I'm wondering if the Ministry of Health, the government, the Ministry of Health, has been taking particular note of the number of persons who have been coming down with cancers of various kinds. The mortality rate is pretty high. I'm sure the doctor might have some statistics at some point in time that can be given to the public. But it is very concerning to me. And one of the things that I have found out is that a number of the food that we eat, the imported foods, particularly the canned stuff, a lot of the cereals, a lot of the colored drinks that we are importing and selling in our supermarkets and in the market all over. These drinks are not good for our health. In fact, I came from from China recently, and we were dealing with food preservation, additives, preservatives, and I was shocked when the professor informed us that the colored drinks and the colored meat, you see how the pig tail and the pig snout, which we love so much, is pink, not white. When white, we don't want them. I've never seen pink pig meat. And all the Gatorade and all the other drinks with the mauve and the blue and the green and the orange color, they are packed with dyes. Even the cornflakes, you see, they put color in, and when they have on the label, they put a number of things. Whatever the ingredients are, that the ordinary man or woman could never detect. We can't say what that is. The Chinese are now saying whatever you put in the food, it must be in simple layman's term that the citizens can understand. And they don't put one drink. They will put a Coke or a Sprite on the table because they know the Westerners and people like us, we like that. But they will never put that for the people to drink. They use the tea of various kinds and plenty water. No salt, no sugar. And I'm making the point because there's a study being done in Europe currently. Listen to the BBC, you can check it out. That says these dyes, there's a study that has proven that the dyes in the food is cancer causing. 90% or more of the food that we eat is imported. We're importing everything. We're exporting the best, all the sauce of the best fish, everything. We exported those, and we're importing everything that is packed with preservatives. Imagine things that have short shelf life. Peas, cooked peas in tin, everything. We importing them into the country and we selling the best. And over the years, our people used to live for 190 something. I am shocked I came back when you listen to the death announcement. The amount of persons just retired and dying. What is the cause? A lot of them cancer. Okay. Young persons, as the doctor say, dying. Grenadians, we need to wake up. We grow what we eat. That was a motto for the Ministry of Agriculture before. Eat what you grow what you eat. We want to import every single thing. We want to use our limes and make some juice. We drinking all these canned, all these bottled drinks. People wake up.
Okay, caller, thanks for the, but in the interest of time, it's, your contribution is very much needed, but in the interest of time, you need to come in and sit down and talk with me one morning, okay?
Yes, I will.
Okay, thank you very much, Doc.
So with regard to the statistics,
yes.
So the country cancer report that was published on the 8th of July 2025, so it reported that between the years of 2014 to 2023, that Grenada recorded 737 cancer deaths. And prostate cancer was the most common, and it represented 22.2%, which was 386 cases. This was followed by breast cancer, which represented 10.4% and 180 cases, and lung cancer, 7.6% and 132 cases. Other significant cancers that were noted were cancers of the head and neck, colon, and pancreas as well.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, well, we've exhausted our time, but again, Doc, before we leave, any parting words you want to share with my audience?
I just want to reiterate what was said, that cancer is not an automatic death sentence, but early detection is key for the best possible outcomes.
Okay.
So just to encourage women to do their checks and to get their screening done.
Okay, thank you very much. Ali?
Well, quickly, I just need to shout out to our sponsors, because without our sponsors, we would not have a walk. So, McIntyre Brothers Limited, Island Dental, Jonas Brung and Hubbard's Ministry of Health, the Credit Union League, Glenelg Spring Water, COP EFF Insurance Company Limited, the Sani Water, Bryden and Miners, Grenada Seamen and Waterfront Workers Union, Trade Union, Remax First Choice, JC Construction, Trucking and Tools Rentals, the Computer Store, and of course all our other sponsors. We do thank you.
Thank you, Ali.
Well, I just want to encourage persons to join us. We're looking to increase our membership. We every second Wednesday in the month downstairs the Presbyterian Church, and we start at 4:30. So after work, you can just come in and join us.
And you don't necessarily have to be a survivor.
You don't necessarily.
Can be a supporter.
You can be a supporter.
Okay. Thank you very much,
Thank
ladies
you.
and gentlemen. And keep on doing your great work, Doc. Keep pushing the vibes. And remember, rest is best. Yes, Ali.
Thank you.
Folks, that's it for this segment of the conversation. We'll be back after this. When I come back, I've got King's Counsel Ruggles Ferguson, and we talk the request from the U.S. as it relates to the setting up of a radar system on our island. We'll be back after these messages. Don't you go anywhere.
Something powerful is coming to Grenada customers. Smarter service, more convenience, a greener way to connect. Get ready for a better way to manage your electricity service. Coming soon. Grenada, empowering you.
Welcome to Caracou, small in size, rich in spirit. As you step off the boat, you're greeted by smiling faces and warm island vibes. Your adventure begins here. Need a cozy place to stay? The Mermaid Beach Hotel has been a favorite for years. Waterfront views, clean comfort, and located in the town. In Bogles, the Roundhouse Cottages offers rustic charm with a touch of elegance. A peaceful hideaway surrounded by nature. Prefer something private? Dong Island Villas gives you space, sea breeze, and a home away from home feel. Wake up to the sound of waves and views that stretch for miles. We're ready to welcome you. When are you coming?
This year, make colorful Christmas memories with Berger. Get 30% off select 1 and 5 gallon purchases. Each purchase over $300 gives you a chance to win one of 3 cash prizes every month. October $2,000, November $3,000, December $5,000. Drop your entries in the specially marked boxes in store and enter as many times as you like. Promotion ends December 20th. Berger Paints for lasting beauty and protection.
Come on out, Grenada. Let's move to live. Sunday, October 26, 2025. Fitness walk beginning with warm-up at 2 p.m. at Progress Park St. Andrew. Organize your churches, clubs, family, and community. Great prizes to be won. Call 442-7450 to order your t-shirts now. Features and attractions galore to keep you moving. Hosted by the Health and Youth Departments of the Grenada Conference of Seventh-day Adventists.
He was a voice from the pulpit, now away from the altar, but never away from purpose. Father Gerard Paul now takes the Legends stage with fire, conviction, and a calypso that's stirring the nation. The 19th annual Hubbard's Legends in Concert, Sunday, November 9th, 5 p.m., Grenada Trade Center. Father Gerard Paul sings Truth to Power.
Face of all this violence, I will preach, I will preach.
Along with the best of Grenada, Black Prince, and the Pink Panther. Tickets $60 and are available at all Gittins Healthcare Pharmacies. Quick Stop at Otway Service Station, Springs Food Mart, Clear Vision Eye Center, Gittins Pharmacy, St. George's, St. David's Pharmacy, and GoToFed.com. Father Gerard Paul, along with the voices of legends and their stories that shaped generations. The 19th annual Hubbard's Legends in Concert. One stage.
Welcome back, viewers and listeners, to the conversation, the second leg of that relay this morning. As I said earlier, we will be foregoing the BBC because it's a very important conversation. I'm joined at this time by King's Counsel Ruggles Ferguson, and of course, we're talking of the most topical subject matter in Grenada and by extension the region, and that has to do with that request by the United States government to set up a surveillance system on our island. As you know, it is requested to be set up at the Morris Bishop International Airport. King's Counsel, good morning. It's always a pleasure to have you with us in studio.
Yes, hi, good morning, Innocent, and good morning, listeners and viewers. It's always a pleasure to be here to share. So thank you for inviting me.
Good, lovely.
Yes.
Now, the question at hand, I am certain that every corner of Grenada that you go to now, every bar, every rum shop, every church, every school, every playing field, that is the conversation. Should we allow it or not? Before we get into whether we should or not, but what are your thoughts as it relates to that request? What are your thoughts on that request from the U.S.?
Okay, well, thank you again. Well, any country can make any request of any government that they believe might be in their interests. equally so, every sovereign nation has a right to refuse any requests. And that is the essential question that concerns this issue. I think it's not so much the request, because there are issues with the request too. Obviously, getting Grenada, getting the Caribbean involved in issues between states. As Nelson Mandela, whom I often quote, in relation to approaches to these matters, once said in a very profound way, your enemy is not my enemy. We have a right as independent sovereign nations to determine our friends, to determine who we do not wish to deal with. And Grenada has always adopted a policy, and in fact most countries now, that you make friends, you establish friendships far and wide. And what underpins many of these issues that you don't have frequent discussions from that angle is the whole question of the rule of law and international law. In every country, there are laws. Grenada has its laws that apply to the jurisdiction of Grenada. Just so there is international law that governs the behavior of states, the relations of states. Law, simply put, is designed to protect the weak against the strong. Gone are the days when people, whether individuals or states, can flex muscle, and that determines what happens. In other words, the whole theory of might is right. Might is right is precisely what drove slavery. Might is right is what caused our countries over the years to become colonies of other countries. Might is right is what determined whether we were under Spanish rule, English rule, French rule, because we were poor, underdeveloped states with a peaceful people who could easily be conquered. So we have come from a very unique history of slavery, when there were absolutely no rights, when slaves were owned and treated as things, items that can be bought and sold, just like a chair, a table, a fridge, a car. We have come from that and evolved over centuries to have rights and freedoms, fundamental rights and freedoms. We have come from world wars. As I always say, these issues have to be seen in the context of the world and how it evolved. World War I, for example, where 22 million people died at the end of 2018. And you had there establishing the League of Nations, with the cry being, never again should there be war.
That was 1918, not 2018.
That's 1918, right? That is more than 100 years ago. And then again, you had the Second World War. And all of these issues concern battle for territories. You had emancipation in 1838. Right, over 100 years ago, approaching 200 years in the 2030s. But the Second World War, and we see the results of war. the results of war, not just ordinary soldiers defending their respective countries, but you have between 50 and 55 million people dying, civilians dying in World War II. And the cry again was never again should there be war. There should be peace, and that all nations of the world should work towards peace. And that is what drove, in a sense, the formation of the United Nations in 1945 after the Second World War. That is what drove things like the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the European Convention of Human Rights, on which many of our constitutions in the Commonwealth, including Grenada, are modeled after these documents, because out of war, you learn and you understand the importance of peace. And I make all of these points to make the point that sadly, now in 2025, when we should be strengthening that cry for peace, when we should be strengthening that cry, we have now the Caribbean, which has not been involved in a direct way, in a sense, in wars, in the big wars, though many of our people, because we are colonies of the United Kingdom, and the United Kingdom was involved in the Second World War. We had people going to fight, right? Because you have to fight for the mother country.
The veterans.
Yes, and we are colonies. We are owned by the United Kingdom. What is different now? We are an independent state. Since 1974, we have celebrated 50 years of independence. This is not slavery. This is not colonialism. We're talking about Grenada being an independent sovereign state from 1974, and we're talking about again since the 1970s, in the days of Eric Williams, Barrow, Manley, Burnham, talking about the Caribbean, and the Caribbean being a zone of peace. In fact, before that, T.A. Marshall and those folks who fought colonialism, the Caribbean must remain a zone of peace. And what we are having now, again, is a threat to that peace. Is a threat to that peace. We have had invasions in this part of the world. Grenada being no exception in 1983. And make no mistake about it, that the events of 1983 just provided the opportunity to come in, the timing to come in. But it was always a threat since 1979. You have situations where others want to determine who your friends should be and who your enemies should be. So I go back to the point that, listen, we have the right to say no. Individuals have a right to say no. That is what domestic violence laws are based on. Right? That others want to control. That is what laws are based on, the criminal law, that people feel that they could take advantage of others. And therefore, there's a consequence for that. And why? It goes to the simple question. This has nothing to do, in a sense, with politics and partisan politics, and that's what I really want to warn against treating this issue in a partisan political manner. This is a national issue. And politics in itself, the nature of our politics, as I always say, it is so adversarial. And you can't blame the politicians, because that is the system we have. It's a system which says, listen, the government in power is the worst government ever, and the opposition in opposition is the worst opposition ever. and one has to find ways of criticizing each other. So, because the objective, of course, is political power. I say that to say that one can easily be caught up in narrow politics in addressing this issue, and that is what we have to safeguard against. It is a national issue. Why do we have heroes? Right? Why do we have heroes? Why do we hail out people? Why do we hail the Nelson Mandelas? Why do we hail out the Martin Luther Kings, the Fedor, the Marishals, the bishops, Butler? Because at the time, it was never an easy struggle, but they stood up, and they stood up for some kind of principle.
They fought.
Right? And they fought for change. And that is why consciousness is so important, and is a concern as I always have, because, you know, we don't spend time educating our people. And education is a lifelong learning process. It's not something you get in school. In fact, when you're out of school, you just start living and really start learning the realities of life. And we don't, so we exist. And the focus is the acquisition of material things. And we are individualists, we are competitive, we want to each be better than the other. And those big issues that affect us, then when they meet us, we are totally unprepared to deal with it. And so it is a national issue, one. It is also a sub-regional and regional issue. And that is the importance of institutions like CARICOM and the OECS. And that's why I say sub-regional, because we should be speaking with one voice. One voice on these issues. Grenada should not be alone when addressing these issues. And as CARICOM, we're talking about single market and economy, freedom of movement, freedom of capital, freedom of labor. These are issues that we should be speaking on in one voice. And that does not mean that we wouldn't have fundamental disagreements as states on different issues, or even locally in terms of our politics, fundamental disagreements on issues. But on issues such as this, which concerns principle. So, for example, in 1979, after the revolution, the first issue was confronting the new government is a dictate that if we are to assist, to give $5,000 then you must not have relations with Cuba. Oh, these are independent states you're dealing with. And it's an extension. When you look, you know, you frequently hear about these concepts like the Monroe Doctrine, in where the U.S. has this interventionist policy that the region is theirs. This region is ours. So nobody else can't come in. We do what we want in this region. This is 1823. You know when slavery was abolished? 1838.
Yes.
Right? So you treat us the same as we were treated back then when our people were slaves.
Yeah, when we were
So you have not changed. You have not changed that policy, and they see us as that. It is not about French, and the U.S. makes it clear. It's not any anti-U.S. sentiment. They make it clear. We have no permanent friends. We have no permanent enemies. What we have is permanent interests. And we are going to promote our interests. The present philosophy is putting America first. Why we can't put the Caribbean first? Why we can't put our people first?
Yeah. Grenada first.
That's the point. So we ought not to be punished, and that's the point, right? It's a real world we're living in, and we ought not to be punished on the basis that we exercise our right to say no. But that should, again, it should tell us something. And these are things that we have to be psychologically prepared for. And if we don't prepare our people, then it will all come as shockers, and the consequences are unexpected. So you have Grenada as a constitutionally elected government according to our constitution, elected by the people. So it's not even a 79 excuse that is revolution, right? It's not that, but same principle. In 2025, you can't have relations with Cuba, right? And that we must assist. And it's clear. It is. You have the issue of fighting drugs. Okay, no problem. But nobody is fooled by that. Again, it's stated clear. It's regime change in Venezuela. We don't like you. Venezuela is not our enemy. Venezuela has assisted us. Cuba has assisted us. And then now the big challenge. So people talk about consequence and of course and very sensitive diplomacy is needed in this period. We are not enemies of the United States. We are not enemies of the people of the United States. The tourists come, enjoy the Caribbean, see the Caribbean as paradise. We want that. But the question is, should we then see, because we getting material stuff,
remittances and residual.
But I'm talking about bargaining now. Yes, you are my friend, right? But if somebody pay me $1,000 to beat you up, that's attractive, man.
Yeah.
Right? That's a benefit. And I need $1,000. That is the philosophy. However you sugarcoat it, that is it, right? Make an enemy, spy on an enemy. You know, somebody was making the point, and these are just ordinary citizens who make these points. These are not experts. Right? Experts, as I always tell people, law is an easy concept to understand. International law is an easy concept to understand. It's just the rules that govern how nations should relate to each other. And fundamental to that is non-intervention in the affairs of other states, the internal affairs. Because if we had to choose our friends and enemies based on what we see them doing wrong, we'll be friends of nobody, and nobody will be friends of us. Yeah. Because there's no perfect state. There's every state that you can criticize. So it's non-intervention. And another is the right to self-determination of our people. Whether in politics, the society, culture, whatever, every country has a right to self-determination. So we're not interfering with you. Right? We're not interfering with you. And then you say, listen, Cuba has been a friend, yes, but we getting dollars. That's how mercenaries operate. That's how mercenaries. You pay me, that's how hitmen operate. Yes.
Pay for the service,
we cool. But if you pay me money to do it, if you become, if you assist me to deal with my enemy, who is your friend, then I will fix you up. I will treat you right.
That's mercenary.
But it's the same principle, it's the same thing that we preach against. Right? Locally, in terms of individuals, and you see this might is right policy. At the end of the day, it will seep down to our people. That's how gangsters operate. Right? We are gang, we control this stuff. So we can have that, and we can be aiding and abetting that at the level of the state. There is a stage when, as a matter of strong principle, that you have to say no, because committing a crime, and there are crimes, international law crimes, And the same countries that are attempting to dictate that. That's the irony. That's really the supreme irony. And that's why you need that level of consciousness. It's the same country that protected South Africa. When South Africa had racism as the law. There are no rights of black people. And use their veto power in the United Nations. Right? So it's like, do as I say, not as I do. It is the same country that when you have out of the 190 plus countries in the United Nations crying out against Israel and the horrors that protects Israel, and as Prime Minister Motley aptly described it, genocide on TV. So you have to look. You don't have to, at the end of the day, wonder if there is some propaganda line. It's there. You see it. Women and children killed. So what hypocrisy at the end of the day when we speak about local things. But you know, who gets licks is the weak that gets licks. Because everybody who jumps up and makes noise, and when I say everybody, it's just a manner of speaking, that we are quick to condemn the weak. Right? Because we could beat up on the weak and we feel good. But when the strong speaks, we are terrified to speak out because we feel that there are consequences. And that's why you have to admire the voices in this period that speaks out. Now, you have a government elected by the people in office. You have a minister of finance who as we know, has to attend all these meetings in the United States, IMF, Washington, all these things. And what do you take everybody. The visa?
Yeah.
You take the visa, and that is like, hey, and you threaten a whole leadership that you'll take the visa. They'll have no visas if they dare not toe the line. What kind of country? What is the difference between this? That's why there's something called neo-colonialism. A new kind of colonialism where we really feel we're free. But we are subject to the dictates of those who are bigger and more powerful than us. And those who threaten, there's no other country, and that's the point, that we have relations with, that threatens us and threatens to do adverse things just because we disagree with you. I mean, just think about it. Yeah. It is not, you don't have to be any intellectual, right, to digest this. Right? We are friends. And friendship is supposed to be based on mutual respect. Right?
I should be able to tell you when you're wrong and vice versa.
But we can disagree.
Yeah.
And we can disagree respectfully. And that ought not to affect our relationships, my assistance to you. So the point is, Grenada can't get drawn in to these wars. At some point, there has to be some position of principle. And there's a fine line in matters like these between principle and prostitution. Because in a sense, that's the basis of prostitution. I say, listen, you pay me and I give you what you want. That's the basis upon which mercenaries operate. I pay you. So in other words, I pay you not to be a friend of your traditional friend. And when probably your friend is in the situation of greatest need, that you turn the enemy. When they are most vulnerable, you turn the enemy. And you say, we are the epicenter of democracy and freedom. But nobody could speak.
Let me ask this, Council. What, as the region, we've seen Gaston Brown in Antigua blatantly said no. This is not going to happen here. From a regional perspective, Kamla Prasad Bisesa says, yes, Mikasa is Sukasa. You can come. But for the smaller body, OECS and CARICOM to an extent, what do you think would be the negative implications if we stand up and say this is not going to happen. You are not going to use our territories individually nor collectively to act as a launch pad for Venezuela. What do you think the repercussions could be?
Well, first of all, let me just say Trinidad is a total disappointment, and that's a diplomatic understatement. Right? A total disappointment. That's not the Trinidad of Eric Williams, even of Basio Pandey, of Keith Rowley, of Manning, Patrick Manning. Right? There's at least some principle. Now, the problem with these things, as I say, listen, when a demand is made on you, right, those demands continue. So, if 5 demands are made, however unreasonable those demands may be, and you comply, when the 6th demand is made, and even more unreasonable demand, the fact that you agree to 5 others, right, then you would feel the weight of the power then. And that's the point. It never ends. It is really a test, right? It's a test of your faith, of your principle, of your ability to stand up. No, we can't fight the United States. Not only can't fight, nobody's interested in fighting the United States. We want a world of peace. It's the same thing in your home. And these things are no different, you know. When you see them on the micro level, it's the same way they operate. If you don't have peace in your home, right? No rest, and it's a stress, right? You want peace. Everybody wants peace. Whether it's in their house, among their family, among nations. That is what you strive for. And that is the message that we have to collectively send. And this has no partisan political colors. It is a message that we have to send as a people, irrespective of politics, irrespective of religion. Civil society in this period need to speak up. And you know, probably what most importantly it says to us, the need as a small people. The Caribbean, listen, the Caribbean has about 6 million people in the English-speaking Caribbean. You know, look how many people died in World War II. 50 and 55 million civilians.
Civilians, yeah.
When you add the military personnel, it goes up to 70-something. Is 1 million people. We have a duty to stop war. We have a duty not to bring war to our region. And that's those who, you know, people are short-sighted. And those who say, listen, we must, and it's not an easy decision. It is not an easy decision for any government to take. And that is why the vulnerable position that the government finds itself in is not one to be exploited by petty politics, because any government in office would have to face the same situation, and the admiration of our people would, if we can speak on a collective voice on some issue, right? And that is an issue where we have to speak as a collective. All that we say we want peace, that's what we preach it.
Yeah.
Right? That we want peace. So, as small as we are, as weak as we are, we must give the government, in this case, and I hope you hear all kind of rumors. Governments needs to reach out. This is not a decision you take alone. To empower the government, to embolden and to inspire to do the right thing, which is to say no in these circumstances. And no, it's not a hostile no. We're not fighting, right? Yeah. We're not fighting. It's that, listen, we can't do that. We can't get drawn in to this issue. Venezuela has done us nothing
but good.
Precisely, that's the point, right? Has given us more assistance. You know, I remember the after Ivan, when we were like fishes out of water. Prime Minister Manning came here early. It was inspirational. From Trinidad and the Venezuelans. The Venezuelans are basically clean up the place. There are some Grenadians will say we had to go and clean up and so. The Venezuelans came in early. Cuba has assisted us. Right? So at the end of the day, how can we then turn and say, well, listen, boy, Cuba, we're sorry, we're sorry. But the big and mighty has spoken, we had to turn your enemy.
Uncle Sam called, so we have to accede.
That's not the way. But first and foremost, we are all governed by laws. And the same country that speaks about freedom and democracy, right? Freedom and democracy. That is what that country should be telling us to do. Not to be the mover and shaker behind pushing us to take in that we clearly don't want to take. Right? We clearly do not want to take, and that is what is important here. You know, the concerns here. Listen, climate change, and that's why I find, you know, people who let their voices be heard and you know, speak out. This is not about politics now, you know, right? This is not about politics. The first country that the US moved, in a sense, against was Canada.
Yeah.
Right? Trade war. Canada, the historical friend.
The neighbor,
right?
boundary neighbors.
A neighbor over the years, best friend that you can rely on. So don't think Grenada would do something and look as Trinidad seems to feel the more Donald Trump is praised, is the more benefits that will come to Trinidad. That's not how this thing operates. Right? So we look at the example, and what's the big issue? And you see, we're not hearing about these things. Is look on climate change. The United States has a position on climate change that goes against the grain of the entire world.
It's a hoax.
Right? President Trump described it as the biggest con job in a speech to the United Nations recently, and are even threatening countries. Right? This is about climate change, you know. It has nothing to do with politics. Climate change, that if you attend meetings and push this climate change agenda, there'll be sanctions for you. So where do we stand? Climate change is what affects us. When we talk about all the hurricanes, these things affect us in a real way every day. The heat. Everybody complaining about the heat. And I say, listen, this has to be addressed globally. And the big and mighty comes out and say, hey, this is a con job. Right? Because permanent interest, the production of coal and oil and so, fossil fuels, it's in their interests. War is in the interest. Again, you have the military-industrial complex in the United States. They have all the weapons of mass destruction. Right? And they're factories that create and build these things. So war benefits them. What will happen?
More production.
Right? What happened to undertakers if people stop dying? Right? I mean, I just used the example to show that there's an interest. There's an interest, and most people are affected by war, but some people benefit from war. Right? So we have to see these things in that light. My concern always is that we don't use our talents as a people. You know, we gain the products of slavery. We see ourselves, listen, as people who have to depend on the world to tell us what to do,
where to go, how to go, and everything.
Exactly. When our people go there, they shine. We have people in different parts of the world, whether scientists, judges on international courts and so, who are shining internationally, and we have the ability to shine. But we see ourselves more in the context of our smallness, right? Because we cannot shape our destiny. And anybody who dare try to change that status quo becomes an enemy, because that's what we're accustomed to. So as I say, leave it so. Somebody has to change it.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about the benefits for generations to come. People who enjoy an 8-hour labor day, now, that's a result of sweat and struggles.
By
and
Buzz
the
Butler
tears
and those guys.
of the people who came long before you. So you had to struggle for that. But you must stand for something and improve. Every generation must pass the baton and must ensure that there is some improvement in the quality of life for others. So when we pass that baton, we doing so on the basis, this now would pass off for a few dollars or whatever benefits. But how we judge by history?
Yeah.
Right? At the end of the day, to be judged by history. Errol Barrow, probably when he made the statement in the 1960s, 70s, was, hey, friends of all, satellites of none. It has become a buzzword and a phrase in this period. Barrow is a hero. When Grenada stood up to the US and then said, we are in nobody's backyard. Again, those are words that echo, not just in Grenada, but throughout the region and the world. You stand for something, you don't have anything, but there is some principle that you stand for. And that's what friendships are based on. I talk about individual friendships now. People could see you as what, and they criticize you as what, but they know who stand up with them in the time of need, even though it might be disadvantageous and it might go against the grain of everybody else to stand up. But I know people admire that. Even your enemies admire that. And that is why there, again, the call is to show in your own way, and there are different activities organized. There's a Grenada coalition for a zone of peace, the bringing together of different, organizations, and that is good. There are a number of activities. I believe there's a march this afternoon at 4 o'clock. What these things need to be done is be advertised heavily, and organized so that they can be a success. I have heard, and it's really a breath of fresh air, statements from pastors, who have heard something from Pastor King, very refreshing. The more voices you hear on it, it will inspire others to speak. Because this is something that people, and at the end of the day, who are leaders and who are not leaders. You need to speak when these matter. So if you're running in your corner and remaining silent and not saying anything, right? But waiting when you could take advantage of some weak person, and then you're coming out and you're talking and you're making. So these are times when you have to speak. We have to stand up for something. As I say, if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything.
In a case like this, right? The current leadership of the island. This matter is so critical that it is important that every single Grenadian have a say. As a matter of fact, Ruggles, last week Monday, because of an absentee person on my program, I said, let me get a feel. And within an hour, I said, this is the situation. Just call and say yes or no. Yes to the installation of the radar system or no to it. And out of 43 calls, 38 or so was no.
Well, as a matter of fact, I'm surprised and pleasantly surprised the number of people out there who have called. Some who don't want to say public but express outrage.
Yeah.
There are a few individuals I was taken aback because That is, it is so obvious. It is so obvious. If we are no longer in slavery. We are no longer a colonial people. And it must be gotten right. We stand for something. We have an independent voice in the United Nations. We have an independent vote in the United Nations. We have just celebrated 50 years of independence. No country should want to dictate to us. Right? Requests, of course, that is what takes place. Right? And that's what diplomacy all about. Right? Countries, you want something, you make a request, and so the problem is, as I always say, is not that. But how could you say I must suffer adverse consequences if I say no?
That's bullying.
And you are supposed to represent the epicenter of democracy and freedom. So what does freedom really mean? And then, see, in times like these, you could have probably even more admire guys like Martin Luther King. And these folks who stood out in the 60s, right, against racism. We didn't have to fight that here as our own people. Right? What racism means and how it manifests itself in different countries.
How does the leadership that is tasked with making that decision navigate successfully to show the people that, okay, I am going to say no, but the possibility of blockades and embargoes and extra tariffs and so forth, and our people so think that we're so dependent on the US. How do you convince your populace that we can make it in the event that this goes south?
But that is why dialogue is necessary, right? It cannot be silent and you hear something happen, right? In fact, in times like these, leaders have to lead. Leaders have to lead and show moral example. And do not just what is legally right, because there's a rule of law issue involved in this, right? There's international law. Not just that, but show moral leadership. Moral leadership. That one can lead, that is not in easy times. There is the courts, and I often mention it. I did so on another program recently, and it is from Martin Luther King, who said that the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in times of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in times of challenge and controversy. That is it. So everybody, when it's convenient to say something, no problem, right? Everybody comes out and says it. It's convenient, it's comfortable to say so. When it becomes uncomfortable, when it is controversial, when it is a challenging decision, but you take it nevertheless, and you take it on the right side of history. Because this is nothing new now. This is you talking about all the struggles of our people. Grenada is known, as George Bizan classified it in his book Island of Conflict. Listen, we have gone through all of these struggles. That's why folks as back in time with Fedor, right, stood up and led a rebellion of the slaves against the British. He said this was no easy thing to do then. Right? You're talking about Tubali-Rabas, Butler, Marichaud, even Gary in the days of colonialism. Right? People stood for something. People stood for something, and that's what people admire you for. The little money and benefit got finished, and then everybody will throw it back in your face. And Grenada, there is a certain expectation, and that's probably why we are being put to the challenge, that Grenada is one of the more conscious countries in the region, that many times people look to see what Grenada would do.
We'll lead from that angle.
and therefore you follow what Grenada does. Others feel comfortable to follow. We've been letting down so many people.
If we say yes,
of course, because how do you teach children, right? The value of things, the value of all these principles we want to preach about, integrity and all of these things. So when the big powers, this is 2025. Listen, we ain't talking about the 1960s and right, when we were under colonial rule. We talking as an independent country, a sovereign nation with a voice. And again, you see some people trying, as part of an intellectual thing, to justify it. You know why? Because they dare not say anything. Everybody want to protect their own interests.
Want to look
right?
good.
Precisely, because they want to be friends. They don't want. They want to have their visa. They want to do this, and that it's a position. So you find a position. You find a position that is as inoffensive as possible, but you don't. And I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, that we have to find ways from a diplomatic standpoint, because diplomacy is important. I'm not saying a hostile no. Right? You're saying a principled no. You know, we can't do this.
We can't do it, yeah.
Right? We can't do it. So it's not no hostility that I'm ready to fight with you. It's not that. Diplomacy don't operate that way. But we cannot allow it to happen, because, and you see them same spy thing, you know, one of the probably most invasive that is offensive to most is spyware.
Yep. The
absence of privacy for anything, right? Don't feel, at the end of the day, it's set up for Venezuela. We can use against any country. Right? We dealing with people who operate at a particular level, and you have these instruments there. Once you give an opening, that's it.
There's no going back.
That's it. When you say no from the beginning, you don't get yourself in compromising positions later on, and that we become the laughing stock. Right? These are all factors to be taken into consideration. And that is why there's a certain power that lies in the people. And that is why on a matter like this, the people must be informed. The people must be consulted. The people must know what's going on.
They must be part and parcel of the decision.
Precisely, because it is a national decision. There should be meetings right now, right, between government and other stakeholders, right, and other stakeholders. We must know what is happening. Instinctively, we can say, because it's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong to do what we've been asked to do. And this is not a position of enemies of the United States. A strong position, even in Congress in the United States. Right? Look at what is happening. Right? Look at what is happening there now.
With the shutdown and everything.
Right? Quite apart, I was reading the American Bar Association, for example, is the largest voluntary bar association in the entire world, right? And in a sense, they have been rising to the defense of the judiciary. And I was looking at some statistics over the last 24 hours. It was actually an article which said that in 2019 there were 190 plus attacks on judges. In 2023 it increased to 457. Right now you have the Attorney General. When you look into that, this is a different kind of world we're dealing with. The Attorney General in New York indicted for fraud.
Letitia James.
Right? Indicted for fraud. And she, those who considered to be an enemy and went after the president and the conviction. So it's really a revenge. Who again? The director of the FBI.
James Comey.
About indicted for fraud. Now you see the director of the CIA. You talk about this happening in the United States of America, and that's their internal politics, right? Those are their issues. But are we so naive, really, to feel that if we suck up and say nice things that we treated nice? Listen, we're not nice because people like us because they like us. Is what interest can we serve to them? Once we can't serve that interest, then that's basically it. So we have to see those things in those terms and cherish what we have. And that is what shows again. And probably I should slip in this point. Listen, the United States is supposed to be this, I say, epicenter. That's where you look for freedom and democracy. You know, in the U.S., one of the big issues in the U.S. always in the elections is the Supreme Court and the judges of the highest court, the Supreme Court, and who sits with the president wanting to select the next set of judges to come in. It's always a big issue. You feel that could be an issue, people will be abhorred in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
If that's an issue. Because at the end of the day, where you have the president appointing judges, and you have a reversal of all of these progressive judgments over the years by the Supreme Court, right? And you're talking about the court as a conservative court versus a liberal court. We have a court here. You know the politics of the judges, right? There is a court, but they're liberal appointees, conservative appointees, and you're expected to toe a particular line. And those are part of the dangers. We have to preserve what we have. We have to value what we have. We have to see our own skill set and ability to shine, not just locally, but shine regionally and internationally as a people. And I'm talking not just as a Grenadian people, as a Caribbean people. And we have to put these skill sets to use so we don't find ourselves in positions where we can easily be compromised. And the best way is to arm our people with the consciousness, so they understand world politics and how it operates. You know, we're talking about Caribbean unity, Caribbean integration. If you ask somebody who's the president, Prime Minister of Jamaica, people even know.
Yeah.
Right? They don't know. We have to create a true kind of integration. We have to create our own Caribbean tourism to enjoy each other's islands, to feel as one, through sports, through culture, and all of these things. So that we don't, and we speak as one voice. So it's not 100,000 people talking, and they say, well, what do these fellas there?
6 million people talking.
Precisely. Collectively speaking as a region with something to offer. I know what we have to offer to the world. It's really peace. You know? It's peace.
Yeah, the peace.
It's peace that we are. Why do you think that people like to come to Grenada and these countries?
Because it's peaceful.
Right? Trinidadians love Grenada.
Because
right?
of the peacefulness.
And they come to Trinidad, the serious problem with crime, and so that's what we have to preserve. And at least some principle, that we need to have some principle about it. So this is what in the coming days and weeks, there'll be many challenges. I haven't even spoken about the shooting down of these people on these boats.
Yeah.
Right?
No evidence of narcotics or anything.
The boats.
Yeah.
You have naval vessels. And this is not just, again, a cry in this region. But the United States itself, how do you just go about just shooting people on boats now? It has in crime to 32. You have no trial.
That's the question.
We have to depend on your word, and all that you have to do is to describe people as narco-terrorists.
Yeah. But there hasn't been any evidence of any narcotics on any of the vessels that have been blown up.
As a matter of fact, the independent United Nations has made it clear. There's the Office on Drugs, and they have made it clear that Venezuela don't rank in any international drug trade. 90% of the drugs that go to the United States don't pass through Venezuela. Venezuela don't have anything to do with it. But it's a convenient label. It's a convenient label. Iraq, you invade a whole country, right?
Weapons of mass destruction.
Dozens and thousands, and you know the hypocrites who will talk about, and that's the sad thing, who will just look at it from this narrow perspective, don't have the gall, right? Don't have the gall to speak out and speak up when there is wrong, but only see when there is wrong by certain people, and look at politics and narrow politics, and of course want to look good, want to be friends of the victor, because that's what history is written by the victors, not the vanquished, by the victors. So we see our perspective of history through them. And people give excuses for these things. So you go on the high seas and you boast about it. And you just say, I killed 5 more.
Yeah.
And we kill Operation Successful. You have all of these bombers and naval vessels, submarines and so, what to deal with a few people traveling back and forth in little boats. That's what you can boast about. So what I'm saying is that those who believe, again, that those things are wrong, it's our duty to speak out on it. Right? And as I say it again, I quote it probably almost all the time. No, the famous it was the religious figure who went through the horrors of World War II, who said, again at the time, first they came for the socialists, and I said nothing because I was not a socialist.
Yeah.
Then they came for the Jews, I said nothing because I was not a Jew. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I said nothing.
I wasn't one.
Because I was not a trade unionist. See, then they came for me, and there was no one to say anything.
Because they
speak for me.
Got rid of the others already.
Right. And we must remember that. We must remember that. Even those who we have issues with, and we'll have issues. We have our adversarial politics and all of these things, but there's a level that we ought not to take it. Because there is in any true democracy, there would be room for disagreement. All of us would not be agreeing. We can't agree on the same things.
All the time.
That's what makes the world interesting. So so we need to we need to band together, and that's one of the things that Trinidad could never understand why the opposition and government couldn't come together to deal with crime. As an issue in civil society, everybody chooses to blame everybody else for it and to try to use it as a political tool to obtain political power.
Cheap political mileage. Council, it's 6 minutes away from 9 o'clock. You've got a 9 o'clock engagement. So we look forward to future engagements as we as a people trod that road. I do hope that members of the audience note the serious nature of this decision that is pending, and in the final analysis, the decision makers do consult and make the right decision.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, well, thank you again for having me and allowing me to share my 2 pence on this issue. Yes, and I do hope that we use this as a platform for national unity. As a platform, we are just so divided on so many things, and in the absence of politics, as I always say, and many say, there are more things that unites us.
Then what's the
more things that unite us than divide us, and we have to come together on issues that unite us. We must at least show that we could stand up for something. We could stand up for something, because at the end of the day, if we do not, people would not respect us.
King Council Ferguson, thank you for sharing with us this morning, and we look forward to future engagements on more topical issues. Folks, that's it for the conversation. Stick with us.